Welcome in, you guys. You are listening to the Menopause Love Lounge. We've got all the fabulous ladies in the lounge with us once again this week so that we can share everything we know about everything, right? Everything to do with menopause. We are here to talk about, to learn about, and to listen about. So today we're talking about friendships. We're talking about friendships in our era of menopause, our era of midlife, just friendships in general. And
Mm.
we're talking about the ones that quietly fade, the ones that still feel very heavy, much heavier than they used to, and even the uneven emotional labor that suddenly becomes impossible to ignore with all of this, right? So, in this segment, we're going to unpack what the stage brings up in friendships and the honesty it asks of us when certain connections just no longer fit the person that we're becoming. This is
Mm.
such a great topic because I think this happens more often and we don't really talk about it. So, we're going to go through our 3 segments today. We're going to do our personal reflections, talking about how we got so disconnected. And so, each of us are going to share where the disconnection shows up in our lives, whether it's our friendships that have faded, circles that have shifted, and the moments that we realize that we want and need more from our friendships. We're also going to do our midlife breakdown of the community. We're going to talk stats. And then, of course, we have our legs wide open segment, and it's called Would You Call Back? And we are going to explore the modern friendship and talk about whether we are going to call them back, text them back, or just ignore them and be like, peace out, biatch.
Peace
So
out.
that's
Quietly
where
quit,
we're
quietly quit.
quietly
So now we're going to
quit.
know when you guys don't answer the phone when we call, we know
Yeah.
what
Peace
you're doing.
Peace out, bitch. Yeah, soft ghosting, soft ghosting. All right, let's get started with our personal reflections. Lori, why don't you start us out today? I'm asking so kindly. Where are you
No, I love it.
personally with what's going on right now with friendships?
Okay.
Other than us.
This is a very other than you are my only friends. No, I do have a few others, but you are very good examples of friends. So first of all, I just want to say what I see with clients at this stage of life is that divorce shakes up friendships quite a bit. And also because people are coming to me for coaching, which is personal growth shakes up
Yes.
friendships quite a bit where someone's moving forward and dealing with things and wanting to be responsible and not wanting to have pity parties and their friends are not coming along. So those are the two biggest things I see at this stage of life out there in the world. I did not go through a divorce. I did part ways with some people over personal growth differentials. But the real thing I found, which I think is very common in our stage of life, is when my dad died, different people showed up in different ways for me. Did y'all experience that when someone you love died? So I actually almost and it's so funny because somebody else who had a parent die warned me. She said some people are going to surprise you positively and some people are going to surprise you negatively. Some people are going to come through for you that you didn't expect are going to be there for you and some people are going to not show up the way you want. And two of my closest friends did not show up the way I wanted. And I felt, you guessed it, abandoned. If you recall, that is my thing. I felt abandoned and disappointed and sad. And luckily, I have very good taste in people and I have these communication tools. So I could say, and I didn't, let me just tell you, I coach people in this all the time and I did not want to do it. I did not want to do it. And for one of these people, I had to do it twice because it happened.
Wow.
I asked once
Meaning like
and
be
didn't get what I wanted.
vulnerable, talk about it, have hard
Yes.
conversations.
And say,
Yeah.
listen, I really mean this. I need you to check on me. I need you to call me. I need you to give me extra attention right now. And I'll tell you when you can stop. But I'm grieving and I need extra attention. And one of them kind of like apologized and snapped right into gear. And the other one needed 2 times. And then she became excellent. And it was like, okay, it's enough. I got it. You get it now, right? And interestingly enough, then her dad died, right? So it was like, people really don't know what it is until they know what it is. And so sometimes it's so hard for a friend who wants to be there for you to do it. And you need to actually train them, coach them, tell them, admit it, be vulnerable. And this
Such a
story
good
has a
point.
happy ending, but it wasn't a sure thing.
Doesn't always. Yeah. And I'm going to piggyback on that, Lori, obviously, because I am going through that and just went through that situation with losing my mom most recently. And very similar. The people that I thought would show up the most did not. And those, not that I didn't think they would, but you don't know what to expect maybe with certain people. And those ones did. And you guys, my group right here, first and foremost, you were guys were amazing. You were solid. You were my rocks for
Mhm.
me during this time, and you all reached out to me, which is amazing. And for those that know us, we are all kind of newer friends, and so the expectation wasn't there that you guys would do that. And so for you to come through like that was absolutely amazing. And then to have a couple of my best friends that I've known for years, I even said this to my partner. I'm like, I don't know. I'm a little disappointed that I haven't heard from her. She hasn't reached out the way I thought that she would or been that level of support for me. And I'm not sure where that comes from, why we tend to step
Oh, me,
back
pick
with
me.
that when that happens.
Oh, Dawn
Yeah,
knows.
yeah. Why? Tell us, Dawn, why do you think that happens?
Well, if you haven't listened to our episode on attachment styles, that is
Go
a
back and
must
listen.
listen next, right? Because in our most intimate relationships, our closest, most long-term relationships is where we do our attachment styles dance most, right? Or our
Mhm.
right? And so it's where we fall into those patterns that we would have done in our hardest relationships. So, it's a conscious choice to overcome those patterns, but
Mhm.
I think that in periods of real stress or vulnerability or awkwardness or whatever, right? We're going to default to our like lowest common denominator capacity, And so I
Mhm.
think
Mhm.
to ask for what you need is really, really important and valuable because otherwise people are in their own shit, right? They just really are in
Yeah.
their own attachment style
Yeah.
crap. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think also
Yeah.
everyone has their own relationship with death or with stresses or with
Yeah.
right, and so
Grieving.
it's they
Mhm.
the way that they respond to it. So I don't know if it necessarily reflects how if they're good or bad friends.
Agreed.
I would say
Mhm.
that it reflects on their capacity to be able to hold space for you.
To
So they may
cope
not
with their
be
own
Mhm.
feelings. That's right.
right.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm. That's interesting. Yeah, well, I chose to I didn't address this first time I actually didn't address it. I usually do because I didn't have the bandwidth to take that on
Right.
and I didn't feel like I
Course.
should need to
Right.
in this time when I'm grieving most. And so I did let it go and then it changed and got better, and I noticed there was more coming around and maybe she sensed it. I don't know. I don't know,
Mm.
but it's interesting, how that kind of happens. But beyond that, I'll just go while I'm here on me. I was just going to say that I've actually always struggled in women's relationships with other women. I've always been like a guy's guy. I I let things roll off my back. Nothing really offends me. The guys can tell, I'm right in there telling the dirty jokes
Mhm.
with them. It doesn't phase me. And so it's always been a little more uncomfortable because I remember hanging out with these women and, this guy made this joke and I'm over here laughing and the girls are so offended by it.
Mhm.
And it just felt uncomfortable to me, and that's where I was like, "Ooh, I don't belong with these women," because
Mm.
I was just, like, more of a guy's guy. And so, that was always kind of difficult for me. Um, and then beyond that, even talking about, the difference between when you're married and then you're all of a sudden single and losing your married friends, that was also a very difficult time too, because now you are looked at differently by my girlfriend's husbands, who now think I'm gonna
Mhm.
corrupt them. I'm gonna be like, "It's so much better over here on this side," or try
Right.
to take them out and be, flirting and so I would get that a lot of my girlfriends were not allowed to go out with me from the perception that I was now going to take them to the dark side with me, and
Mhm.
that was
Yeah.
Interesting.
difficult.
Dirty
Yeah.
jokes and
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
You're
Interesting.
so dark.
That's
So
interesting.
dark. So that's me. What about you, Karen?
So it's very interesting because, as you all know, I had a recent health scare, a big
Mhm.
scare, and I cried on the phone with every one of you, so you know it well. And it
Mhm.
was really very interesting because it made me feel. I am so grateful for my friendships. I am so grateful, even more grateful than I was before, because people
Yeah.
showed up, including you all, in the most fabulous ways. I don't think I could have gotten through it without that support. I will reiterate what some of you have said about, divorce being a huge, major change in my social
Mhm.
circle. Um, and I have wonderful friends, but I think it was me feeling like a third wheel or a fifth wheel. I
Mm.
didn't feel comfortable socializing the way that I did before. And
Mhm.
it was a very lonely time. And I had to really actively make new friends. I needed to make single friends, and that is not easy to do at this stage of life. Ironically, I made some very good single friends and then got into a relationship, and that also created stress in
Oh.
some of those friendships. So I think what we get very used to is friends that are sort of circumstantial. When we have young kids, our friends are often the
Right.
parents of their friends, or when as life goes on, our friendships can sometimes be based upon our circumstances. So naturally, as our circumstances change, those relationships change
So
as well,
true.
and are challenged at times. I think for me, my motto at this point is like fewer but better. I'm
Yeah.
just no longer willing to tolerate those superficial relationships or the ones that are sort of like, that inconsistent. I think right now what I've really seen is that I'm not somebody who has a million friends, but the people that are in my circle are in my circle, and I love them and value them and appreciate them. And I think, it's the beauty of getting to this age, and this stage of life is like
Yep.
you have that discernment.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and there are
Oh, that's
seasons,
amazing.
right? There are seasons, like you said, whether it was when you were married or when you were in college, or like people come and go, and I know for me, it's like there's just a deeper acceptance now of
Mhm.
these are the people that are in my life now. This is where I'm at in my life
Mhm.
now. And I also can see that there are certain relationships in the past that there was trauma bonding going on. Every time we were connecting, it was about the shit that was hitting the fan,
Yeah.
or the bad
Mm.
relationships that we were in. And
Mhm.
a lot of those relationships kind of disappeared because now I'm in a different part of my life. And yeah, there's just this nuance of shifting and people coming and going, and what you said, like quality, like just
Mhm.
the people in my life now, the deeper relationships I have, it's just like maybe less, but like so rich and
Mhm.
personal growth and aware and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think this season invites us to be very clear about our values more so than any other season, I think, or at least for
Yeah.
me. And
Yeah.
so up until now, I didn't have. I'm same as you, Andrea, where I hung out with the bros. I could hang with the bros. I could talk like the bros, and I
Yeah.
didn't really connect with. It wasn't safe for me to connect with women. I had a lot of injuries with women, and then even just being friends with men had a lot because I understood them and I felt for them, and it would
Mhm.
cause a lot of insecurity in my female friendships. So as I arrived in this season, I tend to see that I'm more selective about who I spend my
Mhm.
time with. And then if a relationship doesn't feel good, I allow for it to not feel good. I allow for it to just be where it needs to be. And I don't necessarily have to invest my time and energy into it. I just let it be. I don't press it. But then, you know,
Mm.
like you, my circle has become a lot smaller, and I'm very selective as to who
Yeah.
I share myself with. And
Mhm.
it's beautiful and it's more fulfilling and it's less of the like smaller relationships everywhere. Now I have more female friends, and it actually feels I've learned to feel safe in them, and it's been lovely.
Yeah, it's
And
nice.
lucky us
It's
being one
nice.
of your friends.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm like,
Mhm. Yes.
I'm blessed. I feel really blessed to have you,
Bless.
especially when I
Bless.
get a phone call from the bath from Lori. Lori called me from the bath.
Oh. Oh, from the bath.
I
Oh,
love a good bath
wait.
call.
It's
Call
so
you if
good.
they call you from the bath, it definitely means we've
You're
entered
in.
a
Yeah.
level of
Yeah.
intimacy. And
Yeah.
Dawn, yes,
Yeah.
you'll be on my bath list.
Oh, good, good, good,
Yeah,
good.
because then we're just picturing you naked the whole time. That's what it's like.
She was
If you
covering
must.
stuff. You were covering stuff. I was
I
like,
was demure.
Bubbles.
I was
Bubbles.
mindful. I was
Wait.
demure.
Wait, this was like FaceTime from the bath?
FaceTime. I get a phone call
Yeah.
from
That's
Lori.
so funny.
I FaceTimed Lori from the sauna the other day. Same thing, right? Like, what up? Here
I
I am.
love
Yeah.
that. You guys can call me from anywhere. In fact, let's try to outdo each other.
All right, let's do it.
That's a little
Don't.
risky, honey.
I want you to call me from
That's
the
funny.
thing.
I will
That should
call
be
you.
one of our
Play
social
the
media
vibrating
posts.
Plate. Call me from the
The
vibrating plate.
vibration plate.
I will call you from the vibration plate. You got it.
We'll post it all on social media. Just follow Menopause Love Lounge.
That's it. That's it. It's perfect.
Done. Done.
Oh, Dawn, what about you? Where are you at with your friendships?
Okay, so interestingly, despite my backstory with my disorganized attachment style, I have always leaned hard into female friendships to be my family of choice because I haven't
Huh.
been close to my parents, right?
Okay.
And my family moved away from where I was born when I was very young, far, far away, and they all stayed there and we went over here. I grew up in Key Largo. It's a barrier island, like far away from everything, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I really have heavily leaned on cultivating female friendships. And I have like collected people from over the years that I still, maintain very close relationships with. And so um when I got divorced, I too was like, okay, I need more right now, right? I don't have enough
Mm-hmm.
support nearby locally where I was because I think per the circumstantial thing, if I've moved or whatever, right? It's like, oh, I need people here physically that I can hug or hang out with. So when I got divorced, I definitely made some relationships and through Al-Anon, through women's group therapy, like that ended up being some of the most amazing
Mm.
relationships. Like one of those women threw my baby shower when our daughter was born, and one of them just left my
Oh,
house today. She came to visit. Like I've gone to their daughter's wedding. Like just we've done life together for the last however many years,
Yeah.
which has been amazing. Um, you ladies came into my life in a time where I'm really making some moves in the world of business. And it
mm-hmm.
sometimes has felt like there's a gap of people that I can talk to and be very, very intimate, but also can sort of understand what I'm up to at work. And
Mm-hmm.
that has been just a game changer that I can be my full self with all of you. And
Mm-hmm.
um, you can help me in a way, or you can show up for me in a way that maybe I can't get anywhere else, which is so, 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 so special. So I know for some people, when they have issues with their mom, female friendships can be really, really hard, but
Mm-hmm.
the opposite, like,
Yeah.
I need y'all, like, need.
That's so
Mm-hmm.
cool though.
Mm-hmm.
What a neat thing to have to be able to in this time of our lives, right? In this phase of our lives that we're making these friendships that could last the life we hope that will last the rest of our life, and I think because we go through so many changes throughout our life, we're nothing like we were in our 20s or our 30s,
Right.
and that's often why those friendships don't last because you have what you have in that period of time. And when things change, a lot of people don't adjust well to the change. And so, you kind of have to find what's new and what works in that
To
era.
that point,
Yeah.
though, some of my friends that I've been friends with longest, like I have two ride or dies that are from like literally childhood and high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I can call both of them if I'm like in a really dysregulated place. I can call both of them and they will remind me who I am when I forget. Does that make sense?
Mm,
Mm,
Because they've
yeah.
seen me through
Yeah.
that's a
every
gift.
single phase.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, because there are some things about all of
Yeah.
us that are true no matter what season of life we're in, right? That there
That's
are
a
Mm-hmm.
consistent things about who we truly are, our essence. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, that's a gift, right? Because if you
mhm.
can't call your mom and say, like, "W- who am
Yeah.
I? How am I? And so, yeah,
Yeah. You
I
know what
I'd,
the
really
I'd
next
love to
appreciate
best
that.
bring
thing.
in something with that, something that I just actually went through, and I think it's important to bring here is sometimes letting go of somebody who you have had in your life for
Mm-hmm.
most of your life. I have a dear friend who's been in my life since I was 6 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and she's tracked me, and just like that, Dawn, it's like she knows me, she's tracked me, and with that said, we have grown in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just
Mm.
recently in the last year that something happened. I won't go into the story, of course, but something happened that it just showed me. It was so apparent that we do life differently. We see things differently. And she has not done a lot of personal growth work. And so we kind of had a thing. We had a thing. And in that moment, it was just, wow, we are on two different pages. And there was a part of me that really had to accept she's not going to be in my life in the way that she used to be. I
Mm-hmm.
know I could pick up the
Mhm.
phone, and I'm sure she knows she could pick up the phone too. But there was a grieving part, and I'm still
Yeah.
even moving through it because it was like, she's not going to be in my life the way she used to be because the stories she's telling and how she's being with me, it doesn't fit my life
It's
anymore. And
different.
I had to really
Wow.
come to that place of, this is who I am, and this is the level that I'm playing at this point. And I love her like a sister, and I'll always be there for her at any time. and she's not going to be in my ear every day, and we're not going to be doing that type of relationship anymore. And I did get really emotional with my anxious when it was happening, because I was like, how do I let go of her? How do I let go of her? You know, because she's like family. But then it was like she was, you know, quite avoidant, and I was like, you know what? And it wasn't just that dynamic. It was just, we're different. We're very different. And I had to really drop into that stage of life this stage of life has changed, and we're different, and we're in a different place. And that's okay. That's okay. I can still
Yeah.
love her, and that's okay.
Love that. You said
Yeah.
she's family, and I think that's a really good distinction because
Yeah.
we have different kinds of friendships.
Yeah.
And family is like you don't get to choose. You just love them, you accept them, you are there if they need you, but that is not the same thing as your tier one, I call it, you know, your tier one
Yeah. My
friends that are there
posse.
to help you grow,
Mhm.
to listen to you when you're
Yeah.
upset, to stretch you, to challenge you, but also to just love you,
Yeah.
you know, just to love it. They're just different roles. And I like that I do think you can keep people around in a different context. And I also think that
Well
it's a good
said.
context for loving or being friends with people in your family. It's a different kind of friendship.
They have a place. They have a place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
do.
And I was going
I
to ask that, Lori. I was going to say, do you think you have to actually get rid of these friends entirely, or is there a place for everybody? You can
Mm.
compartmentalize each person and put them where you need them when you need them, or is that a selfish move to keep them around
I
because you
mean,
might need them at
nothing
some
wrong with being
point?
selfish.
I coach my clients on the 3 H's with friendship, just like with love, right? It's head, heart,
The
and
hoo-ha?
hoo-ha. And if you're dating casually, just like if you're looking for casual friends, the 3H list is different. And I think everyone's got an inner circle. I call that tier one, where the 3H's, it's a different list of criteria, right? For me, personal growth is a must have, right? It's a deal breaker. And then the tier twos can be your casual relationships where it has to work, but it doesn't have to be as deep. And then your tier threes are for big parties. Like you can invite them to things, but you're not giving
To
your
fill the
precious
room.
time.
I love
Yeah.
that
And
framework. Yeah.
you can move a tier two to a tier one, or a tier one to a tier two based on if they want to play.
Right.
Like, you know,
See,
it's not,
that's
those
so
are not
funny because
hard
I
and
always
fast.
use the analogy of like a stadium. Like not everybody deserves an orchestra seat. Some people are in the nosebleed section,
It's
but they're
okay.
around and you might enjoy them and you
Right.
might enjoy the music and the fun, but you know,
Yeah.
so yeah, I agree.
It's a good
There are
analogy.
different levels
Yeah.
of friendship.
And you know
Yeah.
what's
And if you got an
interesting? And
empty
culture.
seat, you can call them down.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's interesting is if I could be transparent here with our listeners about our friendships and how right it wasn't smooth sailing. We were introduced, we
No.
kind of jumped in. I use the analogy: we jumped into bed, we slept together, woke up the next
Yep.
morning, and went, "What the heck did we do?" Right?
Yeah.
And we had to
Who
navigate
are you?
personalities. We had to navigate conflict. We had to
Our
navigate
attachment styles all
our
got.
attachment.
Yeah.
Everything got activated.
Communication styles. Yeah.
And guess what? Right? We landed somewhere that feels so good and so refreshing and so exciting. And for me,
Stronger.
personal growth is also a very top tier item for relationships. And it feels like personal growth. It feels like I'm learning, I'm growing, I want more. I'd be so curious to put this out to the listeners if they can feel the difference between season 1 and season 2.
Yeah.
Like who
Yes.
knows, right? But like,
Yeah.
We are
Yes,
different.
that would be
We
great.
are
No.
different. We feel different. We have for me, it's a safe container, a much safer container for us to really be with each other, because we kind of went through some fire together of
navigate
personalities
conflict.
and conversations
Raw.
and communication.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we stayed. We stayed in the fire
Yeah.
to be able to get to this place. And it's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think that's the best part about it, is that none of us gave up, and we very easily could have, because we are kind of newer to this, together. And so we could have easily been like, it's not for me. I don't feel like this is going to work. But we all kind of put our heads down and figured out where our best assets were, what we could bring to the table for each of us, and then brought it together collectively and allowed each other the space to do what they do best. And I think that's where we kind of hit our peak. We were like, yes, we got it. So that
And
was
we
deep
also needed-
commitment.
Yeah, we also needed to build trust with one another and understand what our needs are, what our who we are. We didn't know each other. And I think
Yeah.
that the measurement
Yeah.
of a successful relationship is the capacity to be able to hold myself, but also the hold the relationship too, right? And
Mhm.
it's not necessarily about the conflict that we were creating. It was actually what was really telling was in our repair. And that's to
Mhm.
me, that's what created the
Mhm.
safety or the opening for the safety to grow.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
I love that. Very good. Very good. Karen, why don't you talk to us about what other people are doing out there? Where are these compounds being set up? Because that's where we want to be.
Right? Where we're all
Well,
living together.
it's really interesting because we're talking all about this. We are the outliers because
Mm.
women in midlife are among the most impacted by loneliness. One in two
Mhm.
women report being
I
lonely.
believe it.
And as we've discussed, a lot of it follows major life transitions,
Mhm.
divorce, empty nest, caregiving. That they cause the highest spikes in social isolation. So, divorce dissolves couple friendships and couple routines, and then it's about finding a new normal. Empty
Mhm.
nest creates, in a lot of cases, like an identity vacuum where women just don't know who they
Mm.
are outside of their
100%.
their
Mhm.
mother, their
Mhm.
mother
Role.
role.
Yeah.
And caregiving, just there's less time and energy to devote to friendships when you are in the role of caregiver. And then even things like burnout in career, right? Like when it
Mhm.
just,
Yes.
all of these
Yes.
things, we don't think of those things as impacting women's ability to create real, authentic, lasting friendships. But all of those things sort of draw us away and leave less and less time and energy to devote to friendship and specifically female friendship. But we pay the price for that because you can see what the loneliness stats are.
We were
Yeah.
never supposed to live in houses
That's right.
separate. Like it
Mhm.
was never supposed to be this way. We were
Mhm.
supposed to live in
Villages, tribes.
villages.
Community.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
I'm
I
not
wanna
saying I don't love
do
my house. I
that.
love my house. And I'm not even saying I want to live with you all, but I
Right.
Why
do
not?
think
Oh, Don, it'd be so fun.
But
It
you
would
could
be
have a
so
visitor for a
Community,
little bit.
not co-house, just
right,
houses
right.
near each
like
other.
neighbors,
Ah,
neighbors, neighbors, neighbors,
don't
neighbors,
worry,
neighbors.
Marie, I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
moving in, although your
Come
daughter would
on.
like it. She would. She would.
I love that. That's so good. So it's hard.
Can we talk
Mhm.
about jealousy?
Yeah. That's a
A big
hard one
one.
in
Yeah.
friendships.
Mm.
Very hard.
I'm jealous of your sweater.
Mhm.
Not what I meant.
Well,
Oh,
especially
sorry.
if you're in the
Go for
public
it.
eye, somebody getting so much more famous or getting different spots
Yeah.
that maybe you wanted. I mean, I would think it's
Yeah.
very prevalent there, but I do think
How
it's day to
hard.
day too.
Yeah, very much so. And I think even going back to when I was saying I had a hard time being in female friendships, a lot of time there was envy and on both sides, them being envious of me. Maybe I was cute. I was pretty or whatever, and so maybe
You
that
are.
was a little bit,
Maybe. Maybe a little bit
that was
hot. Just
a
maybe.
little hot.
Maybe. A little
And
bit.
that can sometimes be a hindrance for me because,
Yeah.
it makes it uncomfortable. But on the flip side, I don't always see myself as that way, and I see others as that way too. And then I'm like, I look at a girl's ass, and I'm like, oh, she's got such a great ass. The little things that you can be jealous of or envious
Mhm.
of that can cause little frictions in your friendships. I think is
Somebody
interesting.
getting a boyfriend when you've been single together, like that's a biggie for people. Suddenly, oh
Mm,
my gosh, everything's changed and all you want to do is be with him. I mean, people do that.
Or
yeah,
other
yeah.
female friends and jealousy inside female
Mhm.
friend groups. Because I remember that from
Hmm.
Absolutely.
childhood is like, I,
Yeah.
I, I remember this haunting of like, I made a date with my best friend in 6th grade to go to her country house. And then someone
Hmm.
else called me and asked me to do something. I said, no, I have this date and with my other friend. And then that friend canceled and I
Yeah.
was left at home and they
Mhm.
ended up
Went
going away
together.
together.
That's
Yeah.
mean.
I was
Oh.
and I don't even know.
Boo.
I mean, I guess they were all just picking their preferred, whatever the preferred thing was or who knows what it was, but I was like, "Wait a second. I said like I had the option of both,
Right.
but I did the right
Yeah.
thing and stuck
You
with the
did the right
person
thing.
Well,
Yeah.
I
didn't
said
didn't they
yes
always
to."
say that about threes? They always said like like 3 is a terrible number. If you're in a friendship, three people, there's inevitably like 2 people. Like it just felt
It's
like that
tricky
was
with
always
that
a
now.
high
theme
school,
growing
I
up.
had a 3-girl gang and we were magical. Like we really were.
Yeah.
Now we haven't
I
stayed
hope,
3
I hope so,
in
because there's
adulthood,
3
but-
girls right next
Yeah.
door here.
Yeah.
My daughter's with her two besties. I'm really,
Aw.
I'm
Yeah, it's a
hoping,
different
I'm hoping it's
generation.
not the nature of the number, but
Yeah.
I feel like jealousy is it's still very
Yeah.
relevant in my life. And
Mm.
it
Very
it
much.
comes up.
I want to add something. I actually find jealousy is healthy because it shows you care. But when it taps into envy, that's when I think it
Deadly
kind
sin.
of goes over the edge. Because I think it's healthy for us as human beings to care that somebody,
Yep.
because we obviously are
Yeah.
noticing something in someone else that we have in
Sure.
ourselves, but we haven't quite realized yet. So I actually think it's if you see it, if you choose to see it
That's
that
how
way.
I think of it. That's how I think
Yeah.
of it too. Yeah, I'm not
It
a fan
depends
of
how
jealousy.
you respond to that, because I do think there are people who will feel that and have a hard time celebrating somebody else despite their
Mhm.
own feelings of envy.
So that's
I
when
mean,
it goes
I
into
think,
envy.
yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think
It
it's
is
how you
hard.
manage those feelings that really
Yeah.
impacts friendship, you know.
So, but all
Yeah.
of that is tied to internalized negative beliefs, right? The times that I struggled with this most was when I was post-divorce, because I got divorced pretty young. I was 30. My friends were getting married and having babies, and I was getting unmarried and diagnosed infertile. And so it was
Yeah.
almost intolerable to be side by side with some of my younger friends at the time. You know, if you heard me in the other episode about attachment styles talk about some of the friendships that I made during that season were really, really essential, because there was so much both jealousy and envy. And that really was because I was afraid I couldn't have love. I was afraid I couldn't have children. I was afraid, right? Like fear was running my roost at that moment in time, which fear and shame are disconnectors, right? They destroy intimacy and connection.
Yes.
And so if I could go back and coach my younger self, which is why I do what I do today, right?
Yeah.
If I could go back.
So I think when you have a healthy set of beliefs and you know that anything is truly possible and your needs can be met, even if it's not in the way you conceptualize it, like, you know, it changes your female relationships, because then you can be for people because you know, anything is possible.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
You know you're good.
absolutely. So good. All right, let's move on, ladies, to our legs wide open segment. Whoop. We are going to talk about these
With friendships,
that-
really.
Yes, with friendships, legs wide open. Do you want to see my threes?
Who wants to see my hoo-ha?
That's the threes we were talking about. The threesomes.
Don is gonna
Gotcha.
cure it.
I'm going to cure it.
Your hoo-ha? Your
Yes.
hoo-ha.
Yeah, my hoo-ha needs some help.
Her hoo-ha needs the love of her friends.
On it. I'm on it.
Junie's petting the pussy, guys.
Pet the pussy, pet the pussy.
You caught that.
I felt
That's
it.
awesome. I love it. All right, so let's get on track here.
I'm
Okay, so we're going
super
to talk. We're going to talk about some of those friendships that have kind of derailed, disappeared, faded out, whatever we might want to call them for whatever reason. And so we're going to go through and we're going to say whether we're going to text them or going to call them, meaning either text first or text them back based on the situation, call first or call them back, or ignore them. Like we're going to do with Lori right now. We're just going to ignore her. Ignore me. Ignore me.
Lori just put on
you're
her hand.
I just wrote a little love note to Ozzy's pussy.
Oh.
I'm just sorry. Sorry. We have a friend in need. Okay. All right. I'll play the game. I'll be good.
Play the game. Play the
Play
game.
the game.
Okay, so let's go with text is going to be number 1, call is number 2, 3 is ignore, number 3. Okay.
I had
So
to
here
write
we
it
go.
down.
Okay.
Yep. Text, call, ignore. Ignore is like the middle finger. Ignore. Just remember that one. Third one. Okay, so number 1, a close friend who used to text daily slowly stopped initiating. So you're going to match her energy, and now it's been a year. If given the choice, would you text her, call her, or just ignore the situation and go on about your way? What do we think?
That is too hard.
The whole
to
year?
agree.
Because it depends, doesn't it? Like if you really care and you want to know how they are, don't you want
Yeah.
to call them? But if you
Yeah.
don't care, you kind of, all right, I'll go
Yeah,
for
I mean, she
I'll
just
go for
stopped
t- I'll go
initiating.
for
I would call
call.
anyway. Yeah.
We want to know what's going on. That's
Right?
what
Yeah, to
gals we are.
connect. To connect if they're
I would
friends.
text.
Dawn
I
is
couldn't
like,
text.
nah. Dawn's not answering.
Well, yeah, there's context and nuance matters.
Yeah.
I don't get upset with my friends very easily, which I do think is part of like I sometimes have a hard time asking for what I need. So I am most of the time not going to get upset at you, and I'm going to understand that relationships have periods of closeness and periods of distance, and there are so many complexities that go in there.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to ask you if you're okay. Honestly, though, my move is probably to like screenshot a song that came on the radio that reminds me very much of you and send it to you.
I love
Because
that.
I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna feel I'm gonna catch a vibe and be like, oh, I'm thinking of you, which I think is a
Nice.
very loving engagement, and then see what goes
I
on
love
from there.
that.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
Andrea's saying, for those who are not watching us on YouTube, Andrea said
Yes.
she'd text.
I would text.
Explain.
I know. And that it comes into my insecurities of like initiating, a little bit of the avoidant, initiating the conversation, assuming there's something wrong when maybe there isn't. Maybe she's just busy. So I avoid that altogether and I just text. I love to do the initial text and then you can call me and I'm ready for it. It's just that first one of
Text, but no emojis.
I got to feel it out. Yeah.
No emojis.
No emojis. No
Well,
emojis.
maybe
Pure
emojis, but like
text.
words also.
Lots of
Yeah,
words.
there's lots of words.
Okay.
Lots of words.
Okay.
Okay,
Excellent.
number 2. A friend you unintentionally ghosted during a season of burnout. You think about her often, but you feel awkward reaching out now. Do you do it anyways? And if so, do you text, call, or do you just ignore?
Definitely for me.
Yeah.
I should call, but I text.
I would
Text
I would
or
call.
call.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, for some of these, I don't know that text versus phone call really matters. I think
That's
it's
true.
more just taking the initiative.
Acknowledgement,
Good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, good
owning
point.
it.
So maybe we could narrow it down to a text or call or ignore. Well, 1 and 2. 1 and 2, make them the same.
Right.
Yeah, owning, cleaning your
Yeah.
side of the street,
Yeah.
right? Owning your part. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I have been, I don't know, not available to you.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think there is a difference. I'm going to say there's a
I do
difference.
too.
A text
I
is
do
more
too.
passive, and it could be read, misread, right? Whereas there's tone in.
Totally.
So I will opt for sometimes I'm known for my voice notes.
Voice
Yeah.
note.
Yes.
Voice
I love
notes.
those.
Yeah.
To me,
Voice
that is the
notes.
best.
Best.
It's the perfect middle.
Number 5, voice
The only
notes.
problem with that is
Yeah.
that when somebody actually listens to it and then it disappears and then they don't respond, and you're like, fuck.
Oh,
You guys taught me how to make that not
Yeah.
happen, which is
Yeah.
so
You
good.
can save it in your phone, people. so
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we
to
teach
not
these
disappear.
women nothing, we should teach them to save their voice notes and voice
Keep.
note their lady friends.
Yeah, keep
There it
keep
is.
all
Which one?
voice messages.
Keep all
Okay,
voice
moving on. We
notes.
got to move quick here on these so they give
yes.
us some impact. Okay, number 3. Someone you adore, but every hangout, she requires you to plan, you to follow up, and you emotionally lead the connection. Is this someone you'd be texting, calling, or ignoring?
I don't like to ignore.
Yeah.
know.
If it's someone I care about, I'll probably do the texting then, maybe.
How about hash it out and ask for what you need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
A
important.
voice note that says, hey, I don't have the capacity to choose. Can you choose? I love it when you choose.
I feel
Your
very
turn.
different about all these things. And I wonder if it's pathology or if I have a healthy view of it. I tend to think that people function based on their capacity. I'm going
Right.
to offer to send a remedy. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, do you need a remedy? Can I help you with a
That
remedy?
is what
Because
Now
we
we
can
have
really
things.
improve your capacity in
be
this zone
honest.
if you would take a remedy. I don't know.
That's
so
what Dawn is
the
gonna
option
do.
6?
That's true. Yeah, I think we're at the 6 or
But
7 now.
are you good with you? So, for example, if you were in a friendship where you are the one that plans everything and you did everything, you're good with that.
Well, I think it at least warrants a conversation. I think if I had a friendship, if I had a friend who I really cared about, who I felt was, for whatever reason, kind of mailing it in, being very passive, being a little bit lazy, I think I would want to have that conversation and just be like, hey, from where I'm sitting, here's what I'm experiencing. This is what it feels like. Is there a reason that this pattern exists? Is it just an oversight? Like for some people, it's just thoughtlessness. And the minute that you point it out, they'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. For other people, the pattern would repeat itself. And I might have to question, is this a friendship I really want to continue investing so much energy in? But I think I would want to have the conversation.
Well, there's some unresolved thing they haven't said. that if you never ask, they're never going to tell you.
Could be. But
Mhm.
I've just never put this much pressure on my friendships. And I feel like, especially in this season, like, my friends all have kids for the most part, right? Or like the ones that don't, like, wow, our lifestyles are so different. I just do not put this much pressure on my
But
friendship.
Dawn,
Interesting.
here's what I experience of you in our friendship, okay?
Ooh,
You
it's
are
getting good.
consistently checking in to whether or not I'm getting what I need from our friendship. And I think I do the same in return. So, like, if you're keeping your finger on the pulse to that extent, like whenever we're in communication, then no wonder you don't have to put pressure on your relationships.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Nurturing. Yeah. Feeding the relationship.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and don't forget that means more to some people than others.
Mhm.
Some people that
Yeah.
wouldn't bother them. Other people might feel, upset by that. So I think it also depends on how sensitive we are within our friendships.
That's what I'm trying to get at, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of my dearest, 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 dearest friends who listens to these episodes, so here's a little Easter egg for her. She has been fairly, I would say, depressed for a very long chunk of time. And that's not about me, and I'm not going to take that personally. Does that mean that I haven't felt sad or like that she was less available in certain seasons than I would have liked? Sure. But like, I'm not going to take that personally. And I think
Right.
that
Good.
piece matters, right? Like
Yeah.
that's, I think, what I'm trying to get at.
So meaning
Okay.
giving your friends grace.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, touching on our previous episode, it also has a lot to do with our attachment styles, right?
Yep.
And that's why for some people, that's not going to be as triggering as it would be for other people. It's just how we respond.
Good episode,
Okay.
guys, ladies.
2 more. I ain't done yet,
more.
girl. I got 2 more. Okay, this one relates to what we're just talking about. A longtime friend who only checks in when she's struggling, but disappears when you need support. Is that someone you're
Okay,
open to
that would
texting
trigger
and
the
crap
crap out of me. There's the one. that's the
it.
one.
You pushed Dawn over the edge.
This is what.
Yeah. Should you ignore her?
This is number one.
Okay.
This is the emoji one for me.
Yeah.
I always want to have a conversation.
Yeah, me too.
And just like, I'd like to, it's the same with dating and when I coach people, like just leave the
It's
karma
true.
good. Like just close stuff
Exactly.
out.
Okay, what I
Close it
would do
out.
today is probably very different from what I've done in the past. In the past, I would say I've quietly quit to
Mhm.
ignore. Today, I'd probably voice note.
Yes, the power. of
And
voice.
what would that voice note say, Dawn?
Dear friend, fuck off.
Yeah, no, something like this just doesn't feel good,
No.
right? Like,
Mhm.
and I love you so much, and I understand that there's limited capacity or whatever, and I understand it's not about me, and I don't know, just need you to know that I don't like how this feels. Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Communication.
Yeah.
Again,
Mhm.
connection, communication. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. Last one, guys. A woman you were once incredibly close to, but the friendship ended quietly without closure, and now she texts out of nowhere thinking of you. Are you returning that call, returning that text, or ignoring?
Returning the text.
Returning,
Yeah, me too.
reconnecting.
How wonderful
Does-
that they reached out.
Yeah. Does anybody turn that text into a phone call? Would you just call and be like, "Hi, I'm thinking of
Maybe.
you," or
I would start with a
super-
text. Yeah, feel it out first, right? Because I don't want to get back on the same cycle, right? So,
Yeah.
like,
Mm.
Depends on the
Yeah.
person. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I
You
like
go
it.
backwards in life.
Good answers, you guys. That was all really good answers. And I think, like you said, it all depends on the situation, where we're at in our lives, our attachment style, all of those good things. But we do want to cherish those friendships like we have here, which is so awesome. So, thank you guys for joining us this week on talking about the friendships. We have been blessed to create this magical friendship between the 6 of us, and hopefully, you guys are resonating with us. You're feeling our love for each other and our connection. And if this conversation did hit home with you, then DM us your stories of disconnection or reconnection, because we would love to hear about that. You can message us on Instagram at Menopause Love Lounge or TikTok at Menopause Love Lounge as well. Don't forget to send this episode to someone who is your bestie or friend that you want to share this with. Yes. So sweet and kind, or someone you miss. So, all right, you guys, that is it for this week. Any little note to add, ladies? Are you
Yes,
all
don't forget
good?
to give it to leave us a review.
Oh my gosh,
So helpful.
please. Yes, any reviews would be great.
Be a bestie.
Or
We
Be a
would love it.
bestie.
yes, be a bestie.
Love you.
All right, you guys, signing out as your besties here at the Menopause Love Lounge. We love you guys. We'll see you next
Love you.
week.
Bye.
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 Bye.